Okay, well, we're well into June now, so I guess let's talk about how May went. Hey guys, my name's Theo. Welcome back to the channel. I just wanted to give you my May wrap up and let you guys know how my reading month was. I managed to read 4 books in the month of May, which for me is actually not terrible. I read about 2,550 pages and I would have liked to read, 1 or 2 more books, but 2 of them were pretty chunky. And so for me, that's actually not too bad. Overall, I had a pretty good time. I had 3 4-star books and 1 5-star book, so I cannot complain. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the books that I read. The first one is Dark Dawn, the first book in the Nevernight Chronicle, the Nevernight trilogy by Jay Kristoff. I read this one on digital and it was the first book I finished in the month of May, and I had a really good time. If you're unaware, I did a full dedicated review on the whole trilogy. I'll link it up here somewhere, and you can go check out my more in-depth review and analysis, my thoughts, my opinions, some hot takes. But overall, I had a really good time with it, and book 3 I thought wrapped up the trilogy in a pretty satisfying way. We leaned very heavily into some tropes that I realize are not really my cup of tea. So for that reason, it could have been better, but I like Jay Kristoff's writing. I really enjoyed the world. The main character, Mia, is a total badass and she was fun to follow. So I had a really good time. I ended up giving Dark Dawn 4 stars, and I think I would recommend this series to quite a few people. The second book that I read was my only 5-star book this month, and that was the first book in the Warlord Chronicles by Bernard Cornwell called The Winter King. This is his Arthurian legend, Arthurian Tales trilogy, and it was excellent. I had such a good time with this one. If you want to see an excellent review on the entire trilogy, go check out Mike's book reviews. I'll put a link in the description. He gushed about all 3 books. It was really nice to hear him echo my sentiment that I had for this first book, and to know that what I liked about this book carries through to the rest of them. And in fact, it's expanded upon everything that I liked in this book. Apparently, there's even more of it in the next 2 books. So this was my 5-star read. I thought the characters were excellent. I thought it was a unique spin on the Arthurian legend. It's told from a different point of view, from the point of view of Derval, who's one of Arthur's warriors. I thought the characters were compelling. I thought the story and the plot were excellent. The battle scenes are expertly written. I can tell where some of my favorite authors get their inspiration, and I can understand why Bernard Cornwell is such a well-known author. By the time you're seeing this video, I'm probably already reading the second book. I just can't wait. I do hear some criticisms that the first book is a little bit slow. For me, it picked up right around, a quarter to a third of the way in, and it never really stopped. The momentum kept building, and the climax and the conclusion was really satisfying. It was a fist pumping type of book, and I remember just telling my wife how much I enjoyed it for days after I finished it. So I'm already into the second one probably, and I'm really happy that I read this one. It was a 5-star for me, and I'm going to be reading a lot more by Bernard Cornwell. The third book that I read in the month of May, I also did a dedicated review for, and that is The Hunger of the Gods by John Gwynne. This is book 2 in the Bloodsworn saga. The first book is, of course, Shadow of the Gods, which I really enjoyed. So I was eagerly awaiting this one. If you're curious about my in-depth review and thoughts and opinions and criticisms on this book, because it's definitely not without its flaws, go check out that video on the channel. I go a little deeper than I will here, but overall, I enjoyed it. I ended up giving this book 4 stars on Goodreads. And if you look in the body of my review, I do mention that the last 50 pages or so, because the ending was so impactful, so emotional, it landed well for me. We get everyone into a place that's quite satisfying and is a really good setup for what I think book 3 is going to bring. I ended up considering it a 4.5 star at the end, but really it was a 4 star for most of the read. And so for me, that's actually very good. Overall, I really enjoyed my time with this one. John Gwynne is one of my favorite authors. His writing is really fast paced and really exciting. And I thought the story was very well done. The world is very interesting. So, I can't wait for the third one. Again, it had its flaws. If you want to check out my review, you can do that. But I had a good time. It was a 4-star read and I had a lot of fun. Now, the last book that I read in the month of May finally was Assassin's Quest by Robin Hobb. This is the last book in the Farseer trilogy. That's the first trilogy of her Realm of the Elderlings. And I had such a blast with this one. I read out of this illustrated edition that was super fun to go through. And I read book 2, Royal Assassin, quite a few months ago. And so it's been a bit of a gap between that book and this final one. And I have to say, it probably allowed me to enjoy this this one more than I otherwise would, because some of the criticisms of this one is that there's a lot of travel, there's a lot of bloat to this one. There's, you know, the pacing is a little bit slower and it takes its time getting from one place to another. And honestly, I didn't really find it to be that bad. I'm of the opinion that it was actually a very good conclusion. You know, it's called Assassin's Quest for a reason. There is a lot of travel, but all of the travel was punctuated by events that were very important to the plot, to the world, to the characters. And, you know, at every point we stopped, a lot happened and I was always interested and I was never really left feeling all that bored. I would probably concede that there's a little bit of fat that could be trimmed in the middle section of this book. But like I said, overall, I enjoyed it. I took my time with it. I enjoyed it. It was an amazing conclusion to a very well-written series by the Queen of Fantasy. Her writing is some of the most beautiful that I've ever read. And so I was just excited to finish this one finally and wrap up, you know, the amazing journey that is the Farseer trilogy and the introduction to this world and to Fitz. I can understand why people don't necessarily like Molly until this book, and I can understand why people are so infatuated and obsessed with the Fool. Next for me from Robin Hobb is going to be the Live Ship Traders, and I hope to get to those in the next couple months. Overall, I gave this one a 4-star on Goodreads. The more I think about it, the more I let it simmer, it's probably closer to a 4.5 star. I might have to amend that, but as I mentioned, I do think that there was a little bit of fat that could have been trimmed. It was a touch long, but you know, it was excellent, and a 4-star is a very good rating for me, and I'm happy to have finished it. So anyway, without getting too rambly, that was my May reading month. I had a blast. I finished 2 series that I'm so happy to have finally completed. I'm up to date with John Gwynn's new series. I'm eagerly waiting for the 3rd book. And I found Bernard Cornwell, who may very well become one of my favorite authors of all time if the Warlord Chronicles continues the way I think it will. So anyway, that's it for me, guys. Let me know in the comments how your month went, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.